Hello, welcome. I wasn't really prepared for anything here. Now I can hear myself. Okay, something like that, I guess. And we're back. We are back. We are so back. We are so back. Just like the price of Bitcoin, right? Something like that. Yeah, it does look a bit like something like that. So, right. We'll come back. It's been a little bit of a while since I last got to do something like this. I have some drawings that are very old, and this is a 4-hour. I was looking for something to come down, then been a little bit bearish short term, and now we are back. So I am kind of looking for something like this. I want to see if we come up here, then we start trading higher on this orange line for the dollar, and maybe this red line to start trading lower, and like something like this, right? It's kind of like how I'm biased a bit at the moment. I'm slightly favoring the buy side for the dollar here, and yeah, that's how we're working with it. And yeah, just kind of just threw myself into the mix here. Basically, there's a few things going on. European leaders are like gathering around, I think in UK, and Zelensky's there. He just flew in from Washington after a, I'm sure all of you know, a rather interesting meeting with the president of the United States. It felt off. I don't know. To me, it seems like, it's a lot of distraction about that and stuff like that right now, but I'm sort of focusing on the fact that the markets haven't really shaken much from it, and obviously it's just moving on the fact that we have Donald Trump coming around, right? But yeah, I haven't really felt that there's anything particularly important that I can think about that would come of that thing happening. But obviously there is a growing concern, maybe amongst others now as well, and of course in the leadership of the European Union, that is United States sort of, they're kind of like joining the threesome of like sandwiching Europe a bit, right? Or at least sandwiching Ukraine at the very least right now, but overall, the whole thing, right? So that's something that we have to keep in mind. But for the sake of this video here, I'm mostly just going to talk about some of the technical predictions I've had. So this one was it's a few days and weeks ago since last time I had an error update like this. So I'm a little bit more leaning towards the sell side. I do believe the euro is going to find some kind of way to move lower, maybe even take out some of the stuff down here. If we do come up and touch, let's say, the red line that I had drawn there, then I feel more compelled to start looking for buy side. And I'm just going to move these arrows a bit so that I have at least a week's room to not get them lost in the mix, right? So I think euro is weak. I've also established after doing analysis that the euro pound could be a bit weaker. Sorry, the pound could be a bit stronger. So I'm just kind of watching a little bit. Is it gonna come up and come down? I'm not too sure. And I feel like this one could be trading higher either way. It's a little bit more of a sideways spedagle. But yeah, if we do come up here, I think there's a orange 60% plus probability / edge actually, that we should start seeking a move somewhere up here. So there's gonna be like a 60% trade edge there. Whereas I think if we come down and touch this area there and we start trading a little bit higher, I think that's gonna give us a 60% edge lower on the euro here. So a little bit sort of symmetrical with what I'm expecting on the dollar here. And I think this one is more particularly potentially a nice potential run for buy side here. And this one would probably a little bit more potentially short-lived. I am sensing something like that right now as we speak. And then I wanted to move over to some equities. We have some developments here, and I've been flip-flopping my bias just kind of a little bit. But at the end of the day, I've had this arrow here drawn for months. I'm looking for these kinds of reactions. I don't really know if I want to keep that anymore as it is right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I kind of think we're coming up here, like some kind of down move. But at the end of the day, we could come down after that. And of course, let's just do this one. And I want to move this a little bit, and we could come up, yes. And we could also come up and come up. I still feel like, although short term it looks pretty good, I feel like this market could still have a bit of dramatic downswings before we sort of resolve convincingly outside of this trading range. More so on NASDAQ, I feel we have a bit of position that we could sort of come up and then continue lower. It could also come up here. I'm not as interested in buying this one, but I think that there's stuff that's happened that makes me think it can retrace a little bit in this particular week that we have now here in the first week of March. And we had some orange arrow here that was wrong, but I do think that we could be coming up here with the 50-60% edge, 60% plus edge. And then I think it's really up to the gods whether or not we continue lower. And yeah, any of them could sort of make... I think there's more room right now as we just stand in the current context to talk about that we could come higher short term, but longer term we could still drift lower. I would say as long as we are not breaching above this high here maybe on the Dow, or we are breaching above, I would say maybe around here-ish, around here. As long as we don't really hit that, I don't think we're going to see a run on all-time high. And of course, if we do breach that and we get some agreement, then I think we could see a trade that formulates some kind of idea there. But that's what that is. I just want to jump straight into Bitcoin here because we had a very nice Sunday. And I think this overnight price action here, well, not over weekend price action on Sundays, extremely much stronger up move relative to the down moves here, and on a Sunday of all places. I think it could be a response to something that's happened. It could be in the Zelensky-Trump exchange that's being used a bit as a market driver for what could be a potentially very strong up gap on equities after the weekend. So I'm going to be watching that here in about 2 hours. 1 hour plus 45 minutes my time. That's something I'm going to be interested in as a potential observation that I'm expecting some kind of risk on Sunday's open here. We've come up a little bit stronger than I would have originally anticipated. And it seems like we might just have like that buy the dip kind of situation. I don't necessarily think I want to be trading this right now as a potential run on all-time high, but if we do get a run up here, I think it's going to be safe to say if we can muster a move maybe above and hit this line and get some kind of retracement, then for sure I don't see why we wouldn't have an edge for some kind of extended move into the upside. Just do like that into the upside here for some of this. So it could even go 115, 120, I think. Until that happens, and I would give this probably a 50-60% edge. Yeah, 50-60% edge I think is decent. While we could trade up to come down potentially still here, but not something I'm particularly expecting. As for Ethereum, I've liked the idea, and which is why I've caught along with a very substantial stop loss. I was hoping to get a better entry than that, but let's see how we do by the open. But I do think that this arrow here is potentially in play, and I don't think Ethereum is really... So for example, Bitcoin could peak all-time highs here, and that's fine. We peak all-time highs, but I don't think we're going to get that super bullish move that everyone seems to be looking for right now. unless Ethereum comes up and touches around 3,400. So until that happens, I think still we've got some gray arrows potentially on the sell side with 50%, 60% edge. So I kind of like a down move to up move. I just don't like the positioning and structure of how that will go about right now. But that's something I'm watching as well. Oil. So for this one, I'm kind of looking for a move to come down, then come up, and then start trading lower. I think that could also be a 60-70% edge, and to some degrees in agreement with what else we're seeing. So that's kind of more of a short-term if-then thing that has to happen. Of course, we could also trade higher and trade lower still. But for right now, I'm just interested, Monday, Tuesday, do we come lower maybe to 69.40? Any kind of retracement, I will be sharing trades for a short on oil on that idea. And the gold is a little interesting here. I think that it's still potentially running higher. So obviously we have a little bit of a deeper swing now compared to the other times that I shared some bullish trades. But I think that we are still potentially working with a higher up move. And maybe if we come down and touch some of this, I would have a gray arrow for a little bit more of a deep retracement based on the things that I prepared so far. So that's actually it in terms of preparations for everything that I wanted to do here. So that's effectively it. Oh, I just screwed up a bit the scenes there, didn't I? I apologize for that. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to go through some of the results that's been happening in the period. So if you guys come over with me here, and you guys can see my spreadsheet. I put in the 2 Ethereum long trades a while ago. And this is my short-term trading spreadsheet where I will update trades as we move over. I think it's a good time now to work with that. So this account, 89% total account gain. So 100K has been turned into 189K with a total risk reward of 50K. Now, obviously, I also have a 2% risk per trade model where the risk is actually 200K, the profit, and the account gain total is 200K, and 5K per trade would be 350K. But the one that I'm actually using is over here where we got the measurements here, right? Because we can push them a little bit lower here. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Okay, something like that. So 181K here for the realistic trading simulations. And for my short-term trading, I have 50R. For my long-term trading, I have 19R. Where some of the other stats are a little bit better. We can see that we have 61% win rate for the stats I shared here. I had a very nice Bitcoin short that I shared that was a part of the down move that we saw recently. And I have a risk reward per trade of 0.35. So arguably, even though the balance is 142%, it's definitely cheaper by the fees that you could expect on maybe a CFD provider. Because the fees I am calculating here, they are, as you can see in this tiny little read it with small note, they're based on the futures, Globex data and CME for what would be considered futures fees. But if you're trading with other brokers, you might have higher fees, and statistics like this would look better, which is why win rate here at 39% is red, and RR per trade at 0.15, and stuff like that is not necessarily the best. So what I'm going to do now is, obviously, I will, after this little recording here, I will be posting a video, this video probably, for the Twitter and promote it a little bit, and I'll share the data, and then I will be uploading this to the spreadsheet. So you guys can see we have had for about 2 weeks or so a pretty decent trading situation. And of course, as usual, all the links you see here, they are TradingView links. I don't own those TradingView links, and they have a timestamp, and you can go and check the timestamp that they were posted and go into any of my forums here. So if I go over here, you see you can go over to any of my forums here, and you will see that indeed that inside all of these threads, the corresponding TradingView link and timestamp can be found. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm gonna be ending the stream right here, right